All right. In this module, we are going to cover chapter 10, which is on bottom-up assemblies. The objective of the chapter is to learn how to do the bottom-up assembly. So when your design involves multiple parts, SOLIDWORKS offers 4 different assembly methods, which are bottom-up assembly, layout assembly, top-down assembly, and master modeling. In the book that we use for the class, it covers bottom-up assemblies, which is chapter 10, and layout assemblies, which is chapter 11. And then in this particular lecture, we are going to cover chapter 10, which is the bottom-up assembly approach. All right, so first we're going to discuss bottom-up assemblies a little more before we actually create one. So far in this class, we've learned how to create parts, which are .sld PRT files. So let's pretend that we've already created these 4 parts, so .sld PRT files, okay? And then we're going to use bottom-up assembly to create this assembly down here. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to open a new assembly file, which is a .sld ASM, and then we are going to use mates, which are basically constraints positioning components together. Okay, so in order to put all of these parts together into an assembly, we'll use mates. The first component inserted into assembly will be fixed. So let's pretend that our first component is this green component right here, or part. We'll insert that component into our assembly file first, and that component will be fixed, which just means that its front, top, and right planes are aligned with the assembly file's front, top, and right planes. The first part is the only part that will be fixed, and all of the other components are free to move or be reoriented. So we'll put this component in first, and then let's say we add this component here. And once I put it in the assembly file, I can move left, right, up, down, this way, this way, this way, or this way. And all of the different ways that a part can move, we look at these by the components 6, or the degrees of freedom. So a component has a total of 6 degrees of freedom, okay? And when you add these mates or assembly constraints, you are going to remove the part's degrees of freedom. Okay, so all of these mates or constraints are stored in the feature manager tree under a group called mates, and you can edit them, suppress them, or delete them just like you can with features in a part. And in this chapter, we are going to learn standard mates, which is in the lecture, and then some advanced mates and mechanical mates. So these are the 3 different categories of mates. And we're going to start off with standard mates in this lecture. All right, so this is what we are going to create, the ball joint assembly. It's composed of 3 different parts. And let's see here. This is going to be our first step. So what you're going to do is you're going to go into Canvas, pull it up. Okay, so go back. This is module 9. Okay, so here is module 9, okay, and you will click this chapter 10 bottom-up assembly. All right, this is what you'll see, except you'll also see this video as well. But here's the lecture that we're going over with step-by-step directions, and then we have these 3 lecture files, which you're going to save to your computer. So you're just going to right-click, go to Save Target As. I'm going to save it. So under my desktop, I have a folder 1372, and I'll just save that there. Okay, then right-click, Save Target As. I'll save this one in the same folder. And then I'll save this part in the same folder as well. All right, awesome. So make sure you save all of those to your computer. And then we are going to start a new assembly template. So let me move this. Everybody open SolidWorks. Okay. And then you're just going to click New. And this time we are going to do assembly. So and previously we've done part, and now we're moving on to assembly, and we are actually going to learn drawings as well in this course. So we're in assembly, click OK. All right. And so your File Explorer will automatically pop up. And the first part we are going to select is the center ball joint. So click Open. All right. And we can't see the origins of the assembly file or our part. So we're going to click the down arrow next to the eye and click Turn this on to view origins. Okay. And then we want to align the origin of the part with the assembly file. So we're going to click there. And now we have our center ball joint in our file. Just so you can see the center ball joint, you can, here's the part right here. Here's the front, top, and right plane and origin of our assembly file. And here's our part, and here's mates. So once we actually create a mate, it will be in this section here. So if we do the down arrow for this first part, we can see that there's the front plane. We can see that it's aligned with the front plane of the assembly file, and same with the top plane of the assembly file is aligned with the top plane of the part, and so forth. And you can see there's an F next to the part, meaning that this part is fixed. So I'm gonna make that smaller. So when I try to move, you know, this part, I'm just clicking on it and trying to make it move, it says the selected component is fixed, okay? Because again, the first part you add to your assembly file is going to be fixed. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is we're going to insert the second component, which is the ball joint arm. Okay, so we're going to add a child into the assembly, and we're just going to go up here and click Insert Components. We're going to click Ball Joint Arm, Open. Okay, and you can see this, we can place it anywhere. We're just going to place it kind of right here in this direction, so just click to place it in the file. And then we are going to add our first mate or assembly constraint. And to do that, you are just going to go up here and click mate. Okay. And then you are going to select the two faces that you want to mate together. So just click inside here. So click there and then click there. Okay. And you can see they both show up there. And it will guess which one that you want to use. So here's our standard mates. If you scroll down, you can see that we can actually expand advanced mates and mechanical mates, but we're just starting with standard. And actually, SolidWorks guessed correctly, we want to use the concentric mate. So just make sure it's selected and then click the check mark. Okay, and then the check mark again. So then let's just click on this piece in this part of the component and move it around, and you can see that it can move. Okay, so you can see that this part is actually not fixed there. You can also go click on, let's see here, move components, and it gives you more options to actually move the component. But usually I just don't actually use the move components unless I want to do something specific. But if I just want to see how the part can actually move, I'll just click on it in the assembly file. Okay, so we are actually going to add 4 more of these ball joint arms. So we'll go to Insert Components, Ball Joint Arm, Open. Okay, we'll just place this in here. And then we're going to do another mate. So click Mates. We're going to click on this face and this face. Okay, and make sure, concentric is selected. Okay, so you can see it here and you can see it over here. Then we're going to click check, or you can click check right here as well. And so after we click check once, it allows us to add another mate, but we don't have any other components to add another mate yet. So I'm just going to click check again. And if you click the arrow to make this bigger, you can see the 2 mates we've added. So here's one and here's another. And you can actually click on the mate and go to edit feature, and actually will allow you to edit it. So if you did something incorrectly, I'm going to exit out because I don't actually want to edit it, but that's how you would actually modify your mates. Or you can suppress them by just clicking that. Okay. So then we're going to add 2 more of these components. Another way to add the same component is to actually just hold the control key and then to copy that component, and then place it somewhere else. So everyone click or hit the control key on your keyboard. Make sure to keep holding it. Then click on the part. So we'll do another one of these, and then I'm just gonna, click it into place. After I click it into place, I can let go. Okay. And I'm going to do that again. So I'm going to hold the control key, drag, and let go. Then let go of the control key. Okay. So we need to add 2 more mates here, right? The same concentric mates. All right. So we're going to go to mate. We're going to click this and then this. Make sure concentric, good, check mark. And I'm just gonna, actually I'll add another mate because my mates are open. So click there and there, okay. And then it says concentric, which is good. We're gonna click add mate, and then we are done. So now we can see we have these 4 mates. I'm gonna move this over here and this over here. If we were gonna actually fully create our assemble this part, we'd want to make sure that this wouldn't interfere, wouldn't be able to go through other parts or collide with other parts. But for now, because we're just learning mates, we're just learning this standard mate, and then we'll learn how to do more advanced mates coming up. All right. So the last thing we need to do is we need to add our T-joint component. So we're going to add 2 of those. Okay. So we'll go to Insert Component, and we're going to add the T-joint, open. We're going to place it, somewhere over here. And then we're going to add a mate, same concentric mate. So go to mate. We're going to click here and click here and make sure concentric and check. Okay. And then here and here. Oh, and it's selected because I hit the point. It did coincident. So I'm going to click concentric. Okay. And then I'm going to click, actually, I'm going to clear this really quick, clear the selection. Okay, it did do it correctly, but I just wanted to make sure. So I'm going to click there and there, just make sure concentric, okay, and check. All right, and then we'll do check again. And then you can see you can move this around. You can just click different points and move it around. But anyways, I'm just going to add another one of these parts, the T joint. And I'm going to hold Control on my keyboard, click on this part and let it go. And okay, and then let go of Control. And then I just need to add 2 more mates. So click mate. We'll click here and here. Concentric, check. And then here and here, concentric, check. Okay. And then we can move this around so that it looks a little bit more like the lecture. All right. And also just to note, you can see that these other parts can still move because there's this negative sign right here. So it's saying those aren't fully constrained. Okay, but this one is fixed, as you can see with the F. So that's all for the lecture. If you go to Canvas, you are going to have a lab as well. Oh, well, actually next is a discussion board. So if you ask questions or if you have questions, you can ask them in here. And then if a student answers, they can get extra credit on this, on the lab. So if you have questions, ask it here about anything, lecture, lab, or quiz. And then here's the M9 lab. So in a previous chapter, we did create these or different parts for this links assembly. And so for this, I provided all the parts for you, and you have to assemble them together. And you'll submit the .sld ASM file. Just so you know, you just save it the same way. So I'm going to click Save. One on different monitor. And we want to save all of these. Okay, so save all. And we'll click Rebuild and Save Document. And then you can save it wherever you want. So this is just Module 9 lecture, or actually it'd be better to say Chapter 10 lecture, okay? And then you can see that it's the .sld ASM. And we'll click Save. Awesome, and that's saved. If I were to open this part in a different file, open the part file in SOLIDWORKS and make modifications to that part file and save it, it will automatically update for this entire assembly. You just have to make sure that the part file is in the same folder as the assembly file. So if I, for example, if I, here's my assembly file and here are all my parts, and say I opened this part and made a modification to it, it will automatically fix or change, that modification will change in the assembly file. Great. So anyways, here's M9 Lab. And then you'll also have M9 Quiz, which is another assembly. It's not a multiple choice quiz, but you are going to complete the gate assembly exercise, okay? And here are all the components for that exercise there. Great, well, that's it for Module 9. If you have questions, you can ask the discussion board, or if it's more of an immediate question, you can ask me as well. Send me an email, text message, or Canvas message. Great. That's all for this week, so good luck, everyone.